Hi, welcome to Heavy Arms. Today, we're talking about bank fishing. When you're bank fishing, one of the biggest questions you have to ask yourself is, am I picking a location where I'm going to stay all day, or am I only going to be here for a little while? Now, are you picking your locations based on the size of the fish it's going to produce, or the quantity of fish it's going to produce? And what type of fish are you looking for? You need to pay attention to these kind of factors and look at a map beforehand before you go if you possibly can. If you don't know how to read a map, I strongly suggest that you learn how. Bank fishing takes a lot of planning if you plan on being successful. When you go fishing on the bank, you have to decide what kind of day is it going to be. Are you packing a picnic and taking the girlfriend, the wife, the kids, the whole family, and going to sit in one nice area and fish all day? If so, that's great. Make sure you pick a location that works for you, particularly if you have small children, that's close to bathrooms and things like that. On the other hand, if your day is all about hunting the giant fish, you want to find the biggest trout in the lake, you want to find that 5-pound, 10-pound bass, or you're looking for that big catfish, whether it be that monster channel cat or that flathead catfish that everyone's going after. Regardless, freshwater or saltwater, even if you're going out there and you're looking to get your sturgeon, you have to ask yourself, what kind of fishing trip is this going to be? Personally, if I'm by myself or if I'm with other adults and we don't have any children with us, I like to keep moving. I catfish mostly when I'm in freshwater. I do a little bit of trout fishing and things, but generally speaking, I go catfishing. And when catfishing, I don't stay in any spot for longer than 30 minutes if I don't have to, particularly when I'm on running water. I like to move around a lot. I believe the more you move, the more water you cover, and covering water from shore is a lot harder than covering water from boat. So keep that in mind when you're packing your gear and you're getting ready for your day. My recommendation, whether you're fishing with stink baits, prepared baits, or even live bait, you should check your bait approximately every 15 to 20 minutes. Live bait, a little less often, but make sure that your bait is doing what it's supposed to do. If you're using stink baits and oil-based dips and things of that nature, you got to make sure that it's still out there producing those oils and pheromones to bring those fish in. About 15 minutes to 20 minutes is the average span of most baits. Live bait, there's different ways to go about checking. Generally speaking, if you feel the fishing line at the base of your pole, you can feel that live bait tugging. That tells you everything you need to know. But it's still good to reel in and check from time to time. Otherwise, like I say, 15 to 20 minutes. Go back, reel in, check bait. Sometimes the bait's still good, a lot of times it's not. It's better to have fresh bait on there that's going to catch fish than to waste your time twiddling your thumbs with bait out there that nothing wants to eat. I normally will give a location 30 to 40 minutes to start producing fish. That means I switch bait once while I'm there. If nothing hits, I'll either switch bait or I switch locations. Variety of bait is a very important thing no matter what kind of fishing you're doing. I recommend having at least 3 options when you're catfishing, if not more. Trout fishing, I'd recommend having at least 5 or 6 different options. Personally, I like to use the power bait eggs because you can break those off and mix and match the colors extremely easily, which gives you a wide variety of appearances and combinations to work with. 6 baits, you can make a lot of combos. But I regress. Unless you have a bait that you know for a fact possesses a lot of oil, change it. If you're in an area where you're fishing and it's not producing fish, go. Move to a new spot. Just because you've been there doesn't mean you have to stay there. Everyone has that fear. If I give up this spot, someone else is going to come and catch that big monster fish. Odds are it won't happen. It's pretty rare that you move away from a location and someone else will move in and catch that big lunker the same day. Same thing goes if you're looking for a giant fish and you're catching nothing but small pan-sized fish. If you're not looking for pan-sized fish, catching them is not going to be the answer. If you catch 4 or 5 pan-sized fish, you're not going to find that lunker there. Move around. Sometimes you don't have to move very far. 10 yards, 20 yards sometimes can be more than enough to change the fishing dynamic. Next thing we're going to talk about today is how to properly pack your bag of gear for a day of mobile shore fishing. The trick is you got to make sure that you have everything that you need, but that you're not packed so heavy that moving around becomes a major task. Now, for different fishing situations, you clearly need to have more gear than others. Saltwater tends to have the heaviest gear of any kind of fishing that I do. But even there's ways to stay mobile. Now, if I'm fishing for small panfish or for trout and fish of the smaller nature, or even just striped bass, I can find that most gear is very compact and very small. With all my assortment of lures and everything else, I don't need a big old tackle box to get where I'm going. And a big tackle box would really cut down on my mobility. I personally find that a simple cheap bag like this, which you can buy at a Ross or a Walmart for around $10 to $20, does the job. It's a simple bag. It's a mail carry bag, and it goes right over your shoulder, and it fits everything you need. You can get some bait trays like this, keep all your lures and tackle and gear and everything in order, and it all slips right in the bag and nice and stays in order. Unlike a tackle box where things tend to jar around and get mixed up. And also, because it has the shoulder strap and it can go over your side, when you're out there and you're casting, it doesn't tie you up or get in the way. It doesn't limit your mobility very much. You don't have to worry about reaching down, finding a place to set it, and all that. Everything you need for a day of bass or trout fishing, you can fit inside one of these bags. It has plenty of pockets on the sides for bottled water, or keeping I got my fish knife here, conveniently located in the side of it for doing everything. I could fit 3 of those plastic boxes you just saw me hold up inside one of these bags, plus more. I can keep my stringer in here if I need it. I can easily do anything I need to do with this bag and without it getting in my way. The other option, if you happen to have more gear that you have to take or things of that, is to get a bag more like this. Now this tends to be my saltwater and catfishing bag. This bag I got for about $20 to $25. You can buy it at your local Walmart. Standard backpack of decent quality. It fits comfortably. It doesn't give me any hassle of that nature, and I can fit all of my gear that I need to have for a day of mobile fishing inside one of these bags. It fits all my weights. It fits my leaders. It fits my hooks. It fits everything. I can keep multiple types of bait. It fits everything that I need to carry on me in this bag. I can even put a little cooler in here if I need to, if I have something I want to keep in there. And it works phenomenal. And again, it goes on my back, stays out of my way. It fits everything I need. Now, a lot of bank fishermen run into a problem with holding their rod. Rod holders are, well, sometimes you go places and there's plenty of sticks and logs or rocks that you can set everything against. Personally, I don't like putting my rods up against the rocks. I just don't. But logs and things, sometimes there is, sometimes there's not. Sometimes you get to a place where you go, man, I really want to fish here, and you're stuck holding your rod all day, and there's other things that you want to do. That's not very convenient. Well, there's a wide variety of companies out there that make all sorts of rod holders and things. Personally, I recommend something like this. You can buy this at the Bass Pro Shop. I've seen a few other places that have ones similar to this or of the exact same thing. It's it's made of light steel. It's durable. It fits just like this across the backpack, so it's out of your way when you don't need it. It holds up to 3 poles or more, depending on how you want to set them, but there are 3 places designated for you to set your poles, and it allows you to do a variety of angles. You could stick it up against the logs or the rocks itself, help keep your poles higher, keep your poles protected, or you can stick it in the sand or the clay where there's no place else for your poles to go, and it just works absolutely wonderfully. For those of you out there who are looking for a good pole holder, or that are concerned about fishing in some places because there's nowhere to set your pole, there's ways around it, and that happens to be, in my opinion, one of the best that there is. There's also lots of homemade options, or if you know how to weld, you can make your own version of that out of, I recommend aluminum. High-grade industrial aluminum works wonders. But it's a wonderful pole holder, and it works phenomenally well, and I would highly recommend it. And I mean, really, gear, when you're mobile fishing, gear, keep it simple, keep it light. You want to make sure that you have everything that you need, but you're not so packed up that it becomes cumbersome or difficult for you to go where you want to go when you're fishing. And these are my suggestions for how to pack light when you fish. We're at the part of the show now where we're going to start talking about the item of the week. And this week I want to talk about this right here. This is an 11-foot 2-piece Cat Max rod produced by the Bass Pro Corporation. And I have to say that this rod, I was a bit hesitant when I bought it because of the price, but it has become my absolute favorite rod to use. I've caught sturgeon on it, which was, I think, probably the moment where it sold itself to me as being a phenomenal rod. The sturgeon that you see in the opening was actually caught with this very rod, and it's held up against every catfish I've ever caught, and it's held up against rays, and of course bringing in that sturgeon was just an absolute phenomenal feeling with this rod. It's very responsive. It has a wonderful tip to it with wonderful action response. The only thing that keeps this rod from acquiring the highest rating out of 5 stars out of 5 is due to the fact that the eye guides on it, the ceramic tends to crack and the eyes tend to bend. I would love to see this rod reproduced with stronger eyes, but otherwise I'm going to have to give it a 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5 stars. It's an exceeding rod, and if you're looking for a new heavy-duty rod, whether it be for saltwater or freshwater, I would highly recommend the Cat Max rod from Bass Pro Shop. It is just a phenomenal rod to use. But that's the item of the week for this week, and you know, it's like I said, it's just a wonderful product. Next week we'll have a different item that we'll talk about. I think next week I'll talk about reels, or who knows? We'll see what's up. We'll see what me and the boys go and test out and decide that we think the rest of the world needs to know about. If you do have an item particularly that you'd like to see tested and would like reviewed because you're curious about it, please drop a comment or an email to us, and we absolutely love to test it. If we have it, if you have something that we don't have and maybe you've built or you want designed, let us know. Send it to us. We'll test it out, and if we like it, we'll put it up here for you. Yeah. Otherwise, you know, if you have any questions about fishing or locations that you want to share, we always love to learn about new odd spots of fishing. And that's actually going to be a section that will be posted up with the next segment, is odd places people have caught fish that I'd like to start having. Anyway, this has been I hope you've enjoyed our first show. It has been an experience, and I look forward to seeing all of you next week. Thank you very much for your time, and tight lines, brothers.